Excellent. Thank you, Hallie. Thank you all for joining, and to RJ and Tiffany for joining me on this panel this morning. I am Jan Heimbaum, the Managing Director of External Affairs for the Building Industry Association of Washington. We represent about 8,000 members across the state involved in all aspects of new home construction. Here, and BIW has been a catalyst and a big supporter of I-2066 to stop the natural gas bans. And there are multiple natural gas bans going on. One, as Hallie referred to, is a bill that passed the legislature this last legislative session, House Bill 1589, which does a couple of things to ban natural gas in the future and disincentivize current use of natural gas, particularly for the Puget Sound region, Puget Sound Energy customers. What 1589 did is it directed the UTC to approve a plan for the state's largest utility, privately owned utility, to geographically do geographically targeted electrification, which means they will not be able to serve natural gas to existing and new customers in the future. The other thing it did is it accelerated the depreciation schedule, which is very wonky energy policy stuff about the natural gas systems that they have to repair or keep working to serve their current customers. And then it also, another one of the things that it did is it removed all the incentives for or rebates that are included for upgrades to more efficient natural gas appliances. It removed any incentive rebate program that exists today for upgrading a broken water heater to a more efficient natural gas system. So what 2066 does in response to those things is it removes in law the geographically targeted electrification requirement. It removes in law the accelerated depreciation schedule, which would in fact make sure that they can't serve natural gas to existing customers. So it would restore that, and it also restores those incentives for more efficient natural gas appliances. The other pieces of bans that exist in state law go beyond just 1589, and 2066 also addresses those, which include things in our state building code council or state building codes or energy codes for both commercial and residential construction. The disincentivizing of using natural gas and propane appliances in homes is very real in those in our energy code, and adds about, if you want to have a natural gas fireplace or propane fireplace or a cooktop or a water heater, that's about $30,000 to $40,000 onto the cost of a new build for new construction. And also, if you're remodeling something, you have to get a certain amount of what are called energy points. So you have to retrofit existing things in your house, even if they're not falling apart, to get those points, which means you want to remodel your kitchen and you have a natural gas water heater. One of the easiest ways for us to get the points that you need for that remodel is to remove your natural gas water heater and replace it with an electric one. The 2066 addresses those and tells the energy code and the building codes that they cannot disincentivize or discourage the use of gas appliances in homes and in commercial settings. The other thing that is happening across our state is local bans on natural gas. There are a number of jurisdictions, Seattle, Shoreline, Bellingham, the city of Vancouver is considering it, that are banning natural gas hookups for commercial construction. 2066 tells local governments they cannot do this. They cannot disincentivize the use of natural gas. That's why we're so supportive of it. In 1589, in the bill that passed this year, geographically targeted electrification means that current natural gas users will have to convert their home when the service stops. We don't know when the service is going to stop. They've just been told that they have to plan to stop service at some point. So when they come knocking on your door, you're going to have to convert your home in order to have hot water and heat and cooking in your house. That runs about $40,000 on average for a single family house, up to probably $70,000, depending on how your house is situated. It's really expensive for people. That's why BIW is so supportive of 2066, to ensure that people have energy choice, can do the things that are necessary for their homes and their businesses, and moving on. And I think I'm going to pop it over to RJ, who will tell you why natural gas is great besides just heating water in a house and cooking stuff in your house. It also is responsible for beer. So RJ, why don't you let us You're on mute.
I'm unmuted. All righty then. So, my name is RJ Whitlow. My wife Christy and I own Five Rights Brewing Company up here in Marysville. And when we saw the legislation being proposed by our friends in Olympia, we were discouraged to say the least, but encouraged a chance to get the message out about the reality behind this legislation. And I'm just going to give you some overview about the industry itself. And I'm definitely not one of the only brewers that want to speak up. We just chose that this is a good time for us to say, hey, this is important. Otherwise, we're not going to exist as we would. The industry itself cannot function the way it normally would without the use of clean natural gas. So, clean natural gas is the predominant fuel source in the brewing process. Electric systems, which do exist, but they're only efficient up to a 5-barrel level. And 5-barrel is a very, very small brew pub. So the vast majority of breweries in this country are dependent on natural gas for a clean fuel source, for direct fire, for the kettles, for tankless hot water heaters, for any of the fuel it takes for steam powered systems. So really, without natural gas, we are really unable to do what we need to. And here's some of the reasons why we're unable to do that. Natural gas is about a third, at least, or actually 2/3 cheaper than using electricity in the brewing process. The reason that is we're heating large amounts of liquid all the time. So not only are we heating them for the mash process to get up to that 160 or 152 to 160, that range to do our mash process to convert sugars or starches to sugars to move over to our kettle, but then we have to boil huge amounts of liquid, and it takes a lot of energy to get up that. And electricity, although it can do it in smaller systems, like we said, in our larger systems, we're a 7-barrel system. We're considered on that small end, but electricity itself, not only is it more expensive, but it takes about twice to 3 times as long to actually get to those effective temperatures that we need for production. So in terms of manpower and labor, that's also, it just becomes cost prohibitive to do what we need to do. Not to mention the amount of capital that it would take to retrofit that Jan was referring to. On the business side, we already use a lot of electricity. Electricity and natural gas are both needed for our business. And we're not saying we don't want electricity. We want as clean of energy as we can. And we want to use electricity, but we use a lot of 3-phase electricity to move all the motors and all the production equipment that we need, and refrigeration, which is a ton in our industry. But natural gas itself is needed to make sure that we have the capacity to do it all. If I had to add yet another panel to be able to handle all the electrical equipment that it would take to heat the amount of liquid we need, it wouldn't work. There's no way we could actually stay in business. So, like I said, we use both natural gas and electricity to run the business. We do a lot of electricity for refrigeration, front of house service. We use commercial tankless hot water heaters to be more energy efficient. But once again, we use natural gas because the cost of running the electric ones is about 2/3 more. And it's just not cost effective, especially in the cooler times where we're having to heat water from when the groundwater's 36, 38 degrees out there, and we have to raise it up to 160, 170 degrees. No efficiencies. It just doesn't work. We use natural gas to heat our taproom space. We have space heaters that are much more efficient than trying to heat a 5,000 square foot taproom space with electrical heating. We're in an old hardware store in downtown Marysville. We've done everything we can to update and create an energy efficient environment, but in an older building, you can only do so much. So once again, we're looking for the best solution for energy. So our legislature doesn't really seem to understand that breweries and restaurants, especially restaurants, and I won't speak into that, but the vast majority of restaurants are using natural gas to prepare your food. Both of these industries would cease to exist if this type of legislation stands. We have to find a way to get people to understand that to work together to come up with solutions to get us to the future. Going all electric right now is not that solution. Not only do we not have the economic capacity to be able to do that, but our grid can't handle it. We don't even have enough power on our grid right now to power what we do have. And looking at all the different things that want to electrify and take the cleanest source of energy out, natural gas, we're not going to get there. So there's got to be a cooperative we get there. We don't want to say that we don't want to get to having the best environment for our future. We are very much for that, but we also have to do it in a responsible manner. So the thing about that this you also have to remember is the cost of goods sold for us breweries has gone up about 30% since 2019. That's effectively your profit margin when you're running this. The coming back from the COVID shutdowns, from the supply chain bottlenecks, all the different things that we were told about, okay, we're going to recover, but then the inflation hit and we haven't recovered. They're mainly built on energy and transportation costs. And to effectively throw this on top of it is throwing a death nail into industries like ours. So for us, it's so simple. We don't understand why it can't be seen as, hey, let's talk about this, find a better way to get there eventually. But these are just some of the realities of being in the brewing industry and the restaurant industry and public service sector right now. And if their goal is to have all this cease to exist, that would be very effective if legislation like this will stay in place. So.
Thanks so much, RJ. We appreciate that insight. Tiffany, we are going to pass it over to you now.
Well, RJ pretty much said it all, so I don't know that I have much to add. I'm Tiffany Turner, CEO of Adrift Hospitality, a small hotel and restaurant company on the coast of Washington. And I think, like RJ said, restaurants are heavily reliant upon natural gas. It would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to convert, and there's not as good of a equipment out there to cook on. So I think this would be something that would vastly decimate the restaurant industry, and we just don't see a way to go forward without natural gas or propane right now. So, I mean, I think it's a fairly obvious solution for us. We can't have a natural gas ban, and we do want to look to the future, and we do want to figure out how we can make sure that we have clean energy and clean environment, but we need to make sure that we do it in a way that our businesses can continue to survive.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We appreciate each of you providing a little insight for us. I know when we got started on this process, it was a lot of people saying, well, I don't have natural gas in my home, so this doesn't really affect me. And it was like, wow, no, there are so many other industries that, rely on natural gas. So that's helpful to get a little bit of a clearer picture. Jan, we have a question for you to kick us off. A lot of people have been saying that this isn't a ban for gas right now, and this is kind of a ramp up or a planning bill to eventually ban natural gas. Why is there such hysteria about making people think that gas will be banned tomorrow or in the near future?
Well, so there are bans right now in Washington state on natural gas. There are local governments who have banned hookups to natural gas. So there is currently a ban. House Bill 1589 is a bill that will eventually ban our state's largest utility from serving natural gas. The Utilities and Transportation Commission, which is the commission tasked with all of our rates and electric stuff. So, was told that they must approve a plan to depreciate, to tell them to do targeted geographic electrification. Those plans hold the force of law once they are approved. They are not just I want to lose 5 pounds and continue to eat all the carbohydrates in the world. It is a real plan that holds the force of law. So telling a utility that they cannot serve, they need to plan to not serve a particular product, in this case, natural gas, and that plan must be approved, is what 1589 did. It is absolutely a ban. It will be a ban, and we will find out in 2027 what neighborhoods will get shut off first. any attempt to actually give notice to people, sort of a ramp up so that they could have, plan to have to convert their homes and businesses, were denied. So it's a ban, right? Telling someone that they can't serve a product in the future is a ban. Whether it's happening today, which it is happening today at local government level, it's happening in our energy codes, which is a virtual ban because they've made it so cost prohibitive to do any type of gas appliances in homes or businesses. And then also this in the future for current users, they're going to stop serving this product. They've been told they have to. So I don't know how else you define a ban. Lots of words we can describe a ban, still a ban.
Great. Thank you so much, Jan. We are going to open it up to questions from our viewers, but we're going to start with one to Tiffany. Would you mind just talking a little bit about what specific industries in hospitality are affected by this ban?
Sure. I mean, all industries in hospitality would be affected because most hotels and restaurants and the service sector in general uses natural gas or propane. But the specific impact, as RJ articulated, would be to restaurants and breweries, distilleries. I mean, gas is heavily used in cooking all of your food when you go out to eat. So it would be very impactful to restaurants.
Great. Jan, we've got another one for you. Is it true that the existing ban will not force existing homeowners to convert to electric and impacts only new housing?
No. So 1589 says targeted geographic electrification. What that means is they will eventually stop serving natural gas in those current pipelines now to existing customers. Sure, the energy code is about new construction or remodels. Okay, fine, that's new construction. And some of those local bans are new hookups. But the geographically targeted electrification and the depreciation and the combining of electric and natural gas rates is absolutely for existing homes and businesses. When they stop serving, if you would like hot water or heat or something to cook, depending on how your residence or business is situated, something to cook on, you will have to convert your home or business because you won't be able to heat your house.
Great. Thank you. RJ, two questions for you. The first one is, do your customers know when they come in that there is a natural gas ban, and do they know that it could affect them and the businesses that they frequent? And then the other question along with that sort of is, how much do you think it will cost for your business to convert to electric if natural gas is banned, when natural gas is banned, rather? And you're muted, sorry. Oh, there you go.
All right, so the easy answer to the first one is people are finding out. At first, I think a lot of people had no idea the extent of the dependence on natural gas for businesses like ours or restaurants or things like that. They are consumers. We pride ourselves into creating an experience. They're not talking and worrying about things like this. This is a place where we give them a way to get away and enjoy themselves, enjoy life, live life together with them. But the reality is we really go out of our way not to be political too. We do not allow political events. We don't allow candidates to host things here, open houses, forums, any of that. And it's intentional. It's so that we can keep a chance at an active dialogue of the people that we live in our community with. So for people to understand about this was a big deal for us to say, you know what, I think it is important to have Let's Go Washington make a presence and to let people know that there's no way we can continue down this road if we don't have this option available to us. And so our guests are finding that out. Now, some are privy. They know what it takes. They're home brewers, they're cooks, they prefer, most chefs or any cook would prefer natural gas to electric cooking anyways. There's no comparison. People and no chefs are saying, hey, I want an electric stove or I want an electric cooktop in my. It's not a great way to treat ingredients, and there's no excellence in that execution of said production processes. But so if you ask us what the amount of money that it would take to convert, At that point, for us, we would not be able to convert to a way to make as much product as we do now. We simply wouldn't be able to exist. We're already pushed the bubble on our profit margin. Our cost of goods sold, that's why I shared that earlier, 30% cost of goods sold going up since 2019 from inflation and other effects. They already took that margin from us. And that's the margin that it takes to continue to grow the business and continue to decide, hey, can we continue to do this and make it viable? For us, we could say, well, it'd be 100 grand, 120 grand, whatever, but we would never be able to recoup that money. So it would just be a matter of time before the attrition of our business hits. And we have to live our lives responsibly. We pay our debts. We don't take on unnecessary debt. We just have to make that decision that as much as we love building community and doing this, we would have to find some other way to make this work, or we would be looking at the options of how do we move our business. And unfortunately, ours is a grassroots community business. We love our community. It's built on community. The community built our business. We can't simply move all of our guests and everything move to a state that's more business friendly. We can't do that, nor do we want to. We love Washington. We want to make a contribution here. So the cost, it's really not the cost of upgrading. We really simply could not make the economic part of this work because we do have budgets. And when we don't keep to our budgets, unfortunately, we go out of business. We can't just simply pass another bill that taxes more. We just can't do that. So.
You love Washington State, and Washington State loves you, RJ. Don't you worry about that. Jan is going to answer this next question. Can you offer more details on the local bans? Are they all new residential, commercial construction? And then how will this affect propane usage?
Yeah, absolutely. So the current local bans are about commercial, new hookups for commercial construction. Doesn't yet impact residential construction. We do think the new sort of energy code virtually bans natural gas hookups for new construction. So those are all commercial at this point. But as we've just heard, restaurants and breweries are all commercial uses. And I know my members who build homes in these communities want to build in communities where there are restaurants, where there is business, where there are these things going on, because those are where people want to live. And so the thing is commercial bans impact residential construction as well, because we pay for the system hookups. And if it's only a certain segment of new construction that's building and able to hook up, if they want to hook up to those things, their hookup costs are going to be exponentially higher because there's not as many users going into the system. So it also raises those rates or those hookup fees for new residential construction when it's banned for commercial construction, because now we're paying full freight. We're not sort of sharing and spreading those installation hookup charges across multiple facets, more people, more payers. So that is the commercial local bans, which do impact residential construction. And also, for the record, apartments are under the commercial code. So they sort of live in this world of or rental units, multifamily often is a commercially built structure. As far as propane, 1589 did not address propane, that bill that was passed. However, the energy code in the building codes does address, it just refers to gas appliances. So propane appliances are included in the gross disincentivizing virtual cost. It's a virtual ban because of the cost of construction. So if you wanted a propane fireplace, there are many rural communities that have propane generators or propane to cook on cooktops in their homes or their businesses. There's many propane restaurants that use propane in rural areas that don't have natural gas hookup. The energy code virtually disincentivizes and bans natural gas for those new construction buildings. And what 2066 does is it also just says you can't disincentivize the use of gas appliances. So it's a both thing. And conversion costs, again, right, for a single family house, it's $40,000. I don't know what it is on average. My house would be more like $70,000. I walked through with one of my members and was pointing out stuff on commercial stuff. Every restaurant is different. Every brewery is a little bit different. I've heard $100,000. I've heard $1 million for conversion of those things. But we're not addressing manufacturing the people who are making our toilet paper, the people who are making our cement. That is massive, massive cost. I don't even know that the technology exists to provide the energy needed to make the products that we make here in Washington without natural gas. And those conversion costs, let alone the cost to operate after you convert, are going to be exponentially high.
That is awesome. Great overview. I mean, it's not awesome, but it was an awesome overview. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, RJ and Tiffany and Jan. Thank you all for sharing your perspective and giving us a better understanding about what's actually going on here in Washington State. Like I said, this webinar was recorded, so we will be sending it around to our list of people that weren't able to make it today. And if you'd like to join those lists, feel free to check out our website, letsgowa.com. And thank you all for joining. We are excited to have more conversations like this coming up tomorrow, the day after, and Friday on the rest of the remaining initiatives. And we look forward to having you all join us for those as well. Thank you so much. And we hope you have a good rest of your day. And vote yes, pay less on I-2066. Thanks, everybody.